He watched as 10 of the most powerful men in the United States rapidly broke down their conspiracy under pressure from authorities within weeks of the Watergate investigation. He's like, if those people couldn't keep their stuff together and tell the same story, like the lies they were telling, like broke apart in
Yeah.
weeks, and yet the disciples facing capital punishment, like pretty all of them except for John, right? Like were
Yeah.
martyred for
All the
their
way to the end.
faith.
Yes.
They had nothing to gain. They didn't have money. They didn't have power. They didn't have like girls, like they didn't like none of those things were available to them because of the lies the lies they would be telling. So it's like they have no motivation to tell lies. And even under the craziest of pressures, they didn't like break apart from their
Hmm.
story, right? Their story remained the same. And so to me, I was like, man, that's a pretty powerful little um, assessment there of the disciples. And then if you talk about manuscript evidence for the New Testament, where we would look at writings by like Homer and Sophocles and Aristotle and Tacitus and even Caesar or Aristophanes, we would like look at their writings as like, yeah, those are historical and accurate documents that we can learn from. Well, they have the available copies of manuscripts
Hmm.
are like single digit for most of them, but you get into double digits when you get into like Caesar, there's 10 copies. And then
Hmm.
Tacitus, there's 20 copies. And then Aristotle, 49 copies. He's big stuff. Sophocles, 193. Homer and his Iliad, 643 copies. Like, wow, this guy, wow, that's amazing. And the New Testament,
Yeah.
5,600.
It's
It's like,
blaring.
like way above and beyond anything, comparatively. And then when you talk about the accuracy of the copies, most of the other ones aren't even measured because
Hmm.
they're just so different. When you get to Homer's Iliad with 643 copies, they estimate the accuracy at about 95%. And we would consider that to be pretty
Yeah.
decent. The New Testament copies are at 99.5. So it's like when
And
when
no one
God
disputes the
decided,
other stuff. No one disputes the other stuff.
right, exactly. And
We don't
even when you
dispute
talk
George
about
Washington.
yeah, and then when you talk about the time span between the original and the copies, um, that like for Homer's Iliad, it's hundreds of years. For the New Testament, it's less than 100 years between the originals and the copies. And so it's like there are no other documents out there like in the world that even come close to comparing with the integrity and the backup power that the New Testament has.